If you strip away the buzzwords, what's actually breaking women's chronic care today?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the first thing is that women's health has been ignored largely for centuries. So, in research, the vast majority of healthcare research is done on men, and it is because there's the notion that women are complicated because we have different life stages, we have an additional X chromosome, we have menstrual cycles, and all of these things interfere with research and clean research results and protocols
Mm.
and so we've got a long way to go to catch up. Firstly, and there's so many examples from there's a great book about how the seatbelt, as an example about how the world has been designed for men, and the example of how, the seatbelt doesn't take into account the fact that women have breasts and get pregnant and all of these things. And so one issue is just that we've been left behind and not considered and sort of left completely out of the equation and been viewed as small representations of men. So a woman
Mm.
is maybe two-thirds or half the size of a man, and we'll just extrapolate and not take into account all of these different things about women's physiology and biology. And then
Sure.
the second thing is that, and I think linked to this, is that for a long time, decisions about women's lives and women's bodies have been made by men. In most countries, it has been decades, not centuries, since women have been able to vote and have been viewed as whole humans in the same way legally as men have been. And so the knock on effect of that is when legislation is made about women's bodies and women's health and women's rights, the people sitting at the table are men who don't have the experience of being a woman.
Mm.
And so this, I think these factors, in addition to many more, are what has resulted in women's chronic care being completely um, underserved, under researched, undermined, and we see it today with conversations about women's reproductive rights and women's sexual health. And these are complex conversations, and they are complex things. They are not. I don't think that they are easy conversations to have. But the issue is that women are not sitting at the table and having their views being respected as part of their diverse views being respected as part of these conversations.
I actually wasn't aware of this. This is a complete new awareness. Wow, it blows my mind. I often talk about things that, for example, many conferences and other subjects are planned still from the continent, especially from London, where the very many great conference organizers sit and organize this conference for Africa. And there
Yeah.
was once, Grasham Mahal said once, nothing about us without us. But this is
Yes.
still not far enough, I think. It is not even without us. It's that Africa has to lead it. And,
Yeah.
and definitely, I think this is so powerful that you as a woman brings the awareness to the table that science has ignored women completely. I was completely not aware of this.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I say to so I started the business. Um, One of the reasons was that I have dealt with a chronic reproductive condition for a long time, which I've tried to be very public about, called
Yeah.
endometriosis, which is not well understood and results in, it's a chronic condition. It's not well understood what causes it. There's no real treatment for it. The intervention is usually surgery. It results in chronic pain that worsens over time, infertility. And I can't fathom how someone who hasn't experienced it personally could understand the experience of someone who has a condition like this. And
Mm.
so, I think that, and I don't think that it should only be women at the
Mm.
table. And I don't think that it should only be people who personally deal with these conditions, but you need to have representation, a voice, agency, because again, going back to the experience being what's important.
Yeah.
I think that voice of someone who's personally experienced it is important.